Thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian Senate has passed a bill. Well, the bill has passed the second reading. It's not passed totally yet. And this bill is going to be giving an option of fine, recommending fine or imprisonment for parents or guardians who default in enrolling their children in primary and junior secondary school. That's for education. The bill was proposed by Oji Kalu and is titled Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act of 2004. And what are your thoughts on this? How do you think this would impact education? There are many out-of-school children that are supposed to be in school, in primary school. Statistically, Nigeria has a huge number of children out of school. That's on one side. And on the other side is the fact that we drive on the streets within Lagos during school hours and we see children begging, hawking, and all that. So do you think that putting the option of fine or imprisonment might improve the disposition of parents and guardians in enrolling their children into primary and junior secondary school? Join the conversation and give us your thoughts by calling us on 0810-764-1679. We'd love to hear from you. You could also tweet to us, as I know that I think Nyma was taking tweets and Toby was reading from YouTube. So we'd love to hear what you think. Mariam, I know that we both have this thing about education. We always take the stories about the number of out-of-school children. And do you think that this law would help in reducing that number? Or is just one of those laws that seem to be, it will shock us but might not be effective at the end of the day?
You know, I'm even surprised. I thought we already had had it, but so it's long overdue. I think it's a good policy. But, you know, that's it. It's a good policy. And I say that's it because I know Nigeria. Policy is one thing. Implementation is another. And also, for a robust implementation of the policies, that there are things that need to be put in place. So if you're finding... okay, let me start properly. I think the policy is a welcome one. I think that all children should have access to education. I don't think any Nigerian child should be left behind. And I really thought that we already had something like that, but of course it makes sense that we have all these children hawking, begging on the streets during school hours and school days, you know. So as much as possible, you know, let's have our children get free basic education, that's primary and secondary. This is done in many other countries. I think in America, in France, you know, you will be fined, or in some countries, your child will be taken away from you and handed over to social services if it's found that your children are not in school. Now, having said that, now, you know, we're on board, is that we are in Nigeria of today, as I know it, is that there's so many places across the country. We're not talking of just the cities, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja. You know, we're talking of far-flung states in the north or deep in the creeks of the Niger Delta. You don't have proper schools. You don't have teachers there, you know. So what are we going to do to make sure, first of all, we need to also make sure that these schools, these structures, the infrastructure, personnel are, you know, provided for so that our children can go to the school and not just go to a building or go to a structure, that they are getting quality education. Because I don't want it to be like, okay, we have built some structures, let's just push all these children there. The kind of education that they get, the teachers, do we have enough teachers? It does not matter what they get. So if we can put this proper infrastructure on ground, I think that this policy will go a long way in impacting not just our economy, but just really our development as a country.
You know, sometimes I think that Nigeria would like to do the things we know are difficult for us, and, you know, just do the words for it. I'm trying to remember, you know.
Talk shop.
Talk shop. I wonder how they would enforce
How would they imprison?
Because
how many people would they imprison?
Yeah, Miriam said it earlier. It was a policy. It's been a policy to compare, you know, across states in every part of the country to compel parents to take their kids to school. But I see the only one that worked was the school feeding program in Osun. The moment parents knew, if I send the child to school, he will eat there. Most of the kids in Osun under Aregbe started going to school. And so when they duplicated that method across the country, it gained numbers. But that their parents will suffer. Go to my village. Some kids will be okay by the time first class are finished. By the time they trek to school around 12, morning classes are finished. Maybe they do one class a day, they come home. And it's been since the days of my dad, so that you hear parents. My father used to say, when we finish hawking pap for your grandma, that's when I go to school. And if my sister doesn't finish hawking us, I have to then finish her empty her tray as well. So they walk more houses around the village. And by the time they will trek all the way to where the primary school was from their own, 10 a.m. They would have started at 6 a.m. It was in those days. You know, it's still happening today.
Yeah.
So we were at a panel recently, and I was saying to someone that a child who did not have a parent and was living with an auntie in the village is more disadvantaged than a disabled child with parents in the city. The person did not understand. I said, this one stands better chances of getting help. Even a public school here is like a abroad school. But if that child in the village, the auntie will justify the hawking. He will say it's helping the family economics. If they are going to farm, they will justify it. That child, if they now say, okay, because of school, let us send her to one auntie in the city, she's most likely going to get there and do house help jobs that will not be seen, or the auntie will be unable to check. So some of our realities must be captured in our laws. When we make this law, it looks good on the paper, but how implementable is it when we look at our realities?
So true, so true. Toby, what was your initial thoughts?
I think that it's a welcome development. I like the thoughts put behind it, but then the question would be implementation. So before my mom retired, she was a government principal in Lagos State. Oh. So I was able to see government schools principal in Lagos State. So I was able to see the overcrowdedness, the shortage of staff. My mom would come, complain about this, complain about, you know, and then the government began to look into it. And then there was this division of schools into junior schools and senior schools. Then they built more buildings and all that. But with that, you will still find out that some of those children are sitting on the floor. Yeah. Why? Because even their parents cannot afford to even make a table and chair for them to sit on.
They're supposed to make tables and chairs.
So
we did.
The parents.
I did in secondary school.
I also did when I was in JS1. I brought my table and chair because it was a government school. Yes, we used to bring
our table. Okay. No, but not in the federal schools. I went to Unity School.
So all of that is even still existing today. Yes, and I think that how do we ensure implementation? How does the government ensure that children will actually stay in school? And for those that don't stay in school, how would they be fined? People that barely have food to eat. Because if you have food to eat, if you're able to survive, you would naturally think of the next thing, which is educating your child so that you don't be in that same position in your old age, right? But they're unable to do this. And you would now say, is those people you want to fine or you want to send to prisons? Even thinking about the prisons, how many prisons do we have? Do we have adequate space to accommodate?
Overcrowded prisons.
Do you see? So I think that it is a lot more than just putting up that bill. There has to be a follow-through process that has to ensure that all these things are put in place so that this would actually be properly worked out.
I was even saying that if it was, we have built all these schools, so we have built all this, put all these facilities, we've employed all these teachers, and yet children are not coming to school. You know, it's a different conversation. Yeah. We have done our part, and Nigerian children are not coming to school, but nothing. So it's going to be quite tough.
I'm going to take Bosun from Bagada, but I have opinion on this. This one, I am very, very opinionated. Bosun, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. Just to answer the question of how do we implement it. Unfortunately, we do not have child. I don't know if we have that, or do we have the child services units in Nigeria?
We do. We do child services. We do have child. We have social service and child service.
Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Yes.
So where I'm going at is that what happened to the children we have on the streets? I think that is where we should even start from. Children who are out of school, who are walking the streets of Lagos, why are those units not picking up those children and finding out why they are not in school?
Yeah.
Chastise the parents and find out why those children are out of school. Because in the streets of Lagos, you will see these children, there are lots of them. They are either begging on behalf of the parents or they are talking on behalf of the parents.
Yeah.
So let's start from there.
Yes.
And let us know what the problem is exactly.
Okay. So thank you so much, Bosun. I have this for me is a topic that I'm very, very passionate about. Education and wealth creation are topics that touch me. And it's because we don't have a future without education. We don't. we don't have a future without education. Now, it might not be formal education in terms of going to the university, but basic education that you can speak, you can communicate, you can write is essential. So we're talking universal education, which is primary school, and yet we have a huge number. This is junior secondary school and primary school is what they're making this law about. I do not think that this law is practical. I do not think it can be implemented. I think this is a law that if it gets passed, it will be dead on arrival. It will be one of those laws that we just pile up and gather dust because we're not addressing the issues. We have parents who cannot eat, parents who cannot pay rent, parents who have like 6, 7, 8 children in a one-room apartment, and we're not discussing family planning to reduce the number of children they're going to have. While they're still going to keep on getting children because children are their way to earn money. You will see them on the streets of Lagos begging, in Ibadan begging. At least I know I was in Ibadan recently. I live in Lagos. The begging rates, and we're thinking it is punitive measures that will solve the problem. You cannot use punitive measures to change that kind of problem. Nyma already hinted it. We've seen a template that works. You need to create incentives. You need to deal with the issues that are causing this problem. Why are children not in school? Because the parents cannot think about it. In their head, it is you must feed yourself and take care of yourself. So if we ensure that they are being fed in schools, rather than putting people in prison or putting fines on them while solving their problem, feed them in schools. We are saying create incentives that the punishment for me would be tell the parents to come and be sweeping the schools. Let the parents be, the punishment should not be imprisonment or paying fines. Sweep the schools, show up in the school and paint the wall, or community service within, cut the grass in the school. Do something to make the school better and hit the wooden, we use wooden furniture in most of the schools. What is there in creating chairs in schools? Like, it's not rocket science for the schools to have chairs.
It's a large procurement issue.
A local person, I can do chair. We buy the wood. My dad is a carpenter, so maybe I'm able to do that. But we can. People grow up. If you look at developed countries, people do their chairs in their houses by themselves because they had to evolve into doing it. So why are we waiting until the government produces chairs? Find them and say they should gather wood and repair all the chairs inside the school. Okay. Let's do things that would have immediate impact within the environment and not just laws that will make it look like we are working.
I'll be forced to agree with you to some extent. You know, we have to at some point punish parents. For a state like Lagos, for instance, where we know that, I know Lagos State has an adult education school in Agboju, where they opened that school under the BRF administration just because there were too many children used as maids, and their employers were saying they've grown beyond primary school ages. So that school was built with a full AC crèche. You need to go to that place in Agboju, fully equipped. You come, if you like, get belly out of school. If you like, come with your back pass and everything. And even within that school, you still have kids who start today, leave tomorrow. They don't finish up. As in, everything has been provided to make it easier for you to get this education, that because you need that education. But you see them, they're still on the streets in Old Ojo Road, where the same school is. Also, the primary schools in Lagos State, we have some in the inner cities, city centers, where they are, you know, more than equipped. But how full are they? Because I know the ones in the exterior that we know, I know for a fact one, that needs to be supervised weekly. They have done everything. The structure is looking good. The classes, I don't know what's in I can go. I didn't like the way the kids were just... One teacher was just sitting in the corner of the class with one book, minding her business, and the kids were just helping themselves. So, and it was not break time. So they are doing a lot, but the adults in this equation, we need to do better. Need to be more responsible. I'll come to you, Toby. Let's take a call from Agboju. You just gave an example of what is happening in Agboju, and Victor has called in from Agboju. Welcome to the show. Agbado, sorry, they say it's not Agboju, it's Agbado. Similar.
Good morning.
Good morning, welcome to the show.
Yeah, my name is Victor.
You're live, welcome to the show, good morning.
Yeah, calling from Agbado. I appreciate you people, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Talking about the children on the street. Talking about children on the street, I was once on the street. Then, in the days of Governor Buba Mawa, I fell at Okodi. I know what children pass through. I hug before I go to school, and I come back, I return to the school as well. But thank God for where we are today. What about these children in the school? Some are caused by their parents. Some have met a girl. She refused to go back home because of the money she lost. I asked how much is it? He said it's 3,005. There at Dokpemu. She was crying. I said, where are you trekking from? He said he trekked all the way from County, Ogba, down to Dokpemu to sell. And that she cannot go home because the auntie lost money. I have to give her, I gave her 5,000. I told her the remaining thing, if you want to sell, you sell. If you want to stay away, but make sure you return back home. What am I trying to say? Most of these people will bring their cousin, their niece, their nephew from the village that they want to come and train them.
There's a racket.
Then at the end of the day, they push these children into prostitution. They push them into selling and doing a lot of things. They maltreat them. All in the name because of the poor parents over there in the village. I know what is happening.
Thank you so much, Victor.
This also should be looked into. Because most people bring these children to Lagos and punish them. Instead of doing the right thing that they promise the poor parents over there in the village.
So what I'm hearing me say is that...
I need to hear from Toby. I'll come to you.
I think these issues are deep-seated. It is just unfortunate that we're taking it from the surface. I mean, the law. The law is taking it from the surface. So we hear of some instances also where some men will say that they're not training their female children. They're not sending them to school because they would end up marrying a man. So I have somebody within my reach that says that a father said he's not training his 5 girls. He has 2 boys. They have sent the 2 boys to school. Here.
I hope he's not a Muslim.
In this,
I hope he's not a Muslim.
In this day and age. So those girls, 5 girls, have to serve as helps to send themselves to school. They have 3 of them that finished school. 2 of them are still pending to have gone to school. And then you also hear some children saying, I'm not going to school. I'm not interested in going to school. Let me just learn a trade, right? So that also brings an option of vocational studies.
But you would know how to read and write.
Exactly. You would even know how to read and write before you learn a skill. Even tailoring, that a lot of people are saying tailoring. You have to know how to measure, how to count numbers and all that. So education cannot be overemphasized. Yes. It is important in the development of a nation.
Just to clarify, because I had asked that, I hope he's not a Muslim. It is a sin in Islam to have girls. Because I hear Muslims say it all the time. To have girls and not educate them. Education in any form is important to a girl child in Islam. It is a short, quick way to paradise, to educate a girl child. 2 is Jannah. That's the sunnah of the Prophet. It is a saying of the Prophet. And I hear it all the time. When people will say, I cannot educate a girl child. Yes. We were 4. My father do everything. Because he emphasized that saying of the Prophet all the time, that this is my fastest way to Jannah. I hope that
are you sure a lot of Muslims know?
I don't know where this is coming from because that's how they will say one thing. They will say it is Islam, but it's culture.
This person is Muslim.
I'm just saying. I wanted to use it to start this conversation. Yes. Some people they are interpreting their cultures into the religion, and it is not religion.
Honestly, I feel so sad that we're virtually out of time on this particular topic, but we will still revisit it because we know that this law remains in the House of Assembly. They have proposed a fine of 2,000 naira. They want to change that figure to 50,000, 20,000 or 50,000 if you're caught out of school. So, and we know there's a racket. There's a racket of people that bring children to the cities to monetize their begging and collect money from them every night. All of those need to be addressed, but that's all we can take on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us. Continue the conversation online and see you all tomorrow. Bye.